Ah, come. Yes. So I've been thinking about the modern epidemic. What I feel is hurting society the most right now is our constant dopamine feed. These the feeds, whether you're Facebook scrolling, whether you're Instagramming, whether you're like dating apps swiping, even Reddit scrolling, Twitter. It's just constant short form messages and reels. And I want to make one. I want to make one because I know you're scrolling right now. You're looking through your feed, and then you're gonna find my face, and you're like, "Who's this guy?" I'm Kim. I'm your resident philosopher, um, antithesiser, and yeah, the Hegelian antithesiser. How would you say that? Synthesizer, antithesizer, nonconformist, against the grain rebel. So I'm contributing my message. This is my dream: is to be on your feed, feeding you something different. And I guess I don't get to hit the feed because I'm different, but that's the idea. So the modern epidemic is definitely the feed, and everybody is on the feed, and then they feed themselves constant stimulus, and it's like the shortest form, like TikTok, you read like all of that stuff, and all of this stuff is like feeding short form stimulus that mildly engages your mind, and I'm hoping to like engage it above and beyond the mild stimulus you normally get on your feed, which is probably in your algorithm to feed you exactly what you want to see because that's how the algorithm is designed. You go watch The Social Dilemma, go watch how people they do this, right? And the way I think about it is it's like it keeps you in the cage. So they did this experiment back, I don't know when, but they would feed rats cocaine and food. And they could have food or they could have cocaine, and all they had to do was like press the button and they got either food or cocaine. Each button went to a different thing. And the rats, they all stopped feeding themselves. They started just taking cocaine, and then they just did cocaine until they died. And cocaine's an extremely highly intense feed of dopamine, right? Like it's three times an orgasm, and I'm pretty sure orgasms are more intense than social media. But the idea is that like instead of being in touch with ourselves and working on following our own dreams and making ourselves better and engaging with people and having real connections, we're connected to these devices. And connecting to other people through these devices is still plagued by having the device in the way. And I just feel like there's no progress to be made feeding yourself what you already want to see because that's what makes you scroll because you're just a scrolling robot. And that's how fucked up it is. It's there's companies, like every single one of these companies is earning money because you are scrolling on the feed. You're clicking ads. I'm also aware of this. Why? Because I do it too. I do it too, and I know what's happening to me. And my New Year's resolution is just to stop being distracted, to stop intaking the feed, and well, I'm going to contribute to the feed now, but in a way that like I feel is useful and productive because I don't like the feed. I do like the feed. I don't like losing myself to the feed. So that's what this video is. It's a wake up call. Like, I see you. You're intaking the feed. You don't need to intake the feed. You can turn it off. I know it's hard, but you can think for yourself. Why? Why? Because if you don't, you're just going to be a feed zombie. There's like a big corporation profiteering off of you losing all of your attention to the feed. And what's on the other side of like if you take the feed off because you stop being bored, fundamentally what happens is your brain starts working again and you stop being glued. You no longer just like, oh, stimulus. You're now, oh, like, I'm bored. What do I do now? And then your brain starts cranking ideas and you get your creativity back. So you've probably lost your creativity because you intaking on the feed too much, and you're intaking on the feed when your body could be getting dopamine from some other means, like literally any other means. Somebody asked me the other day, Kim, why do you think like men aren't as masculine anymore? I don't even know if that was the question, but that's the general idea. And the answer to this question is that like men suffer in today's society because they get easier dopamine than they did in pre-nano age technology days. So before we had computers, before we had video games, before we had mobile phones, before we had TV also, I mean TV's was the first of it, right? Like telephones were a lot more mild than TV. Anyways, the point is like nowadays, if you want to get dopamine, you just go play your video games. You go and swipe on your dating app. You go and scroll whatever social media you use, and you just intake the feed. Right? Like we used to have to go do drugs, or fix a car, or talk to people like girls, or you go succeed at life like in a business, or fight somebody, right? Like martial arts or whatever. I mean, like you can't deny that the whole world is predicated on societies built on fighting each other. I mean, that's another point. That people think capitalism's awful, but like, really, is it? Would you rather we have like hostile takeovers like the Romans and like the Mongols and the I don't know who else? Like that's how they built like the world, was always hostile takeover from one empire to the next, or one society to the next, and then like you would rise, it would fall, and then you would do another hostile takeover because that's how you gained resources. So instead of like fighting and dying and having short lifespans because somebody's conscripted you into a war that you really don't care about, now all of these warmongers are just capitalists instead, and you get to trickle down, so at least your like standard of living's gone up. Like that's not terrible. But see, like that's what happens is when you stop and taking the feed and you go read a book and you go think for yourself, you can learn something, you can find something, and you can make your life just a little bit better because you watched my video, which came up on your feed. So enjoy very much. This is Kim. We'll see you guys next time.